All right, guys, welcome to the Bigger, Faster, Stronger Volume 1 podcast. I want to start out with a bang, and we've got Christian Woodford on from Woodford Sports Science Consulting. How we doing, Christian?
Good, Tim. How are you?
Good, buddy. Can't complain. So just before we get started, I know it's really cliche in every podcast you listen to, but let's just start out with your story. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you started and where you're at now?
Man, I could go on for days. If you talk to my staff, when I talk to the new batch of interns that come in every year, we get about 3 batches a year. And I talk about my story, man. If my staff was here right now, they'd be rolling their eyes. So for all my staff here, you should listen to this podcast, definitely. So I think that pretty much I started pretty much from the lowest to the low. I mean, like most people, I have an interest in sport. I've got interest in exercise. I always had an interest in the science behind exercise as well. And, growing up and following St Kilda, I used to always watch AFL, and I used to always think that the physical demands of the sport. I finished year 12, and I actually didn't go straight into exercise science. I actually went to TAFE first, and I actually completed Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. That was the first thing I did. So for me, it was really good to see both ends of the spectrum, because if you actually read my post, which I know you do, Tim, my biggest thing is about developing the industry as much as possible. And in terms of Cert 3 and 4, the level needed to become a personal trainer is so low. But I guess that's for another topic. But I actually started doing that first. And then after a year, I was lucky enough to get in exercise science. I did 3 years in exercise science. And then after that, I was lucky enough to be offered an honours project, actually in neuroscience or in motor control. I call it neuroscience, under Dr. Alan Pearce. My project I loved. I looked at how to overcome a strength plateau in highly trained individuals. We looked at training tempo and how we can best stimulate your central nervous system to overcome a strength plateau. We used a technique called TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation. Pretty much, in short, we stimulate your frontal lobe, which is M1. We get a corticospinal response, which is an MEP. Read off EMG, which is electromyograph, so pretty much electroactivity. So pretty much my study, in short, was looking at literally how to overcome a strength plateau with a training variable. I actually started my masters. I had to stop because my company blew up. That's my theoretical experience in terms of tertiary education. I've done a lot of short courses as well, little courses in between, ASCA, NSCA as well, all those little short courses to help me develop as well. And if you get anything from this podcast, if you're listening to me talk, is one, I talk a lot, but 2, you never stop learning. I don't care if you've been in the game 20 years, if you've been in the game 10 years like myself, you can always learn something off someone, so always keep an open mind. In terms of my practice experience, I've always been a big believer, man, my whole life is the ability to apply knowledge, Timmy, and you and I, we talked about this before we actually started this. Applying knowledge is so important, man, for all the exercise science graduates out there. I think the biggest issue, and I'll go into this in this podcast, is the ability to apply knowledge. You can have all the information in the world, man. You can be the smartest person, but if you can't communicate, you can't coach, that information is useless. You cannot be a coach. And I got a lot of sayings. One of my sayings is programming coaching is half art, half science. It's about how you interpret the fundamental sports science principles and apply them into a practical sense. So it's very important. So I always had the idea when I was going through uni, even my first year, to have the ability to apply the knowledge. So I worked at a number of places. I worked at Oakley Chargers in the TSC Cup as a strength coach, Football Federation Victoria, Black Rock, Gridiron Australia, Gridiron Victoria, Melbourne Victory, the youth team, Victorian Institute of Sport. I've worked at Maryland University, NCAA Division 1. I've worked with numerous sub-elite to elite athletes across the entire world.
Could you just elaborate on the Maryland part a little bit?
Okay, I was... this is where pretty much my career just...
Here we go. This is what I wanted to go.
What's that, sorry?
This is where I wanted to go with this. Let's go.
Okay, well, I mean, look, I think that I was lucky enough. I kind of was in my... I finished my internship at the Victorian Institute of Sport. I kind of felt lost with the industry. I kind of felt like, fuck, man, I just felt that the industry as a whole, I was educated, I was applied. I just felt like I wasn't getting the best out of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was in the gym, and one of the athletes came up to me and said, dude, you should go to America. You should go to the States, man. They've got a great system for athlete development. You'd love it.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought about it. I went home, I did my research on it, and I actually wrote down all the, I think, 160 Div 1 schools. And I did a spreadsheet of what the school name was, what the head coach was, the head strength coach. Do they offer assistance? Blah, 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 blah. I actually emailed 60 of those schools. Out of those 60, I got 5 responses. Out of those 5 responses, only 3 were interested.
Yeah.
Out of those 3 that were interested, only I put all my eggs in one basket, and that all my eggs in one basket was Maryland University under Coach Drew Wilson and Alan Webber.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have a phone interview with Alan. We had a real good chat. It happened twice.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to get the internship.
Yeah.
I flew over there for a 3-month training period. I coached in their summer internship. I was lucky enough to coach an NFL athlete, Donald Brown, who played for the Indianapolis Colts. He now plays for the Patriots, the New England Patriots.
Awesome.
I was coaching. Say it again, sorry.
I said it. Yeah, good, awesome.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable coaching him. I mean, that was just the exposure to high-level athletes. And these guys, they aren't your run-of-mill athletes. These are elite-level athletes in terms of strength, power, speed, agility. These guys are elite. So I was lucky enough to coach him, have a 3-month block there, and just see how they develop their student-athlete. Their system is unique. It's one of a kind. Their focus on neuromuscular strength, power, speed development is just elite. And I was just so lucky to go over there and see it, and that just skyrocketed me as a strength coach. I reckon it developed me, and you've been there, Tim, as well. And you understand. I mean, because you and I had a phone call when I came back, and I told you about the system.
Yeah.
The system's just so good, and it just develops you as a strength coach because you are actively always coaching. You're applying that knowledge consistently, and we're not just talking about strength or power.
Yeah.
We're talking about speed. We're talking about conditioning, injury prevention. We're talking about activation. We're talking about assessments. We're talking about coaching 9-hour days. You know, and I said this just before.
It's pretty rare over here.
I said to one of my boys, you can get better by learning information, but the ability to coach it, you just got to go coach, man. You have to coach. You know, you've got to get results, a track record of results, applying that knowledge and getting results. So what I took from America was the ability to coach, and I became back a 100-time better coach. And that's not to say I was a bad coach before I went. No, I wasn't. I was a good coach, a solid coach. But coming back, you know, if you guys follow my work on Woodford Sports Science Consulting Facebook page, you see christianwoodford.com. You know, it transformed me into a very good coach, in my opinion. I do the basics at a real good level. I'm not saying that I'm the be-all and end-all, but I think my results speak for themselves. You know, I do get good results, and athletes keep coming, be it any level, elite, sub-elite, or amateur. So,
for sure,
you know, I was quite lucky to go there.
100% agree with everything you've said there. So that's kind of a little bit about your story. I just want to... That kind of leads into our next question, is why do you think the US collegiate system is so successful, and what can Australia learn from that?
Where do I start?
Yeah, go.
Timmy, where do I start?
I don't know, buddy. Okay. Just give it your best shot, that one.
I just think that we as a society, as a culture thing, like you've been there, it's just like such a... When I went there, I couldn't, like... I'll give you an example. Like, I walked in the gym, right, and, like, the first thing I saw was, like, guys cleaning, snatching, heavy squatting, heavy deadlifting. And, like, I'm not used to that, dude.
Yeah.
Man, I'm used to guys, like, maybe leg pressing, maybe squatting every so often, maybe deadlifting, but not Olympic lifting, not doing ballistic explosive work. And it really, like, opened my eyes to the level standard in terms of physical preparation. Now, this is not bagging out the elite system in Australia. I think at the elite, the Australian boys are very good.
Yeah, for sure.
In terms of sub-elite and amateur, I think we lack so far behind. I reckon we're 10 years behind in the private sector, 15 years, and that's why I've started Woodford.
Yeah, for sure.
But seeing that and just seeing how they move, how efficient they are at moving, how efficient they are at jumping, landing, sprinting, these basic motor skills, it just opened my eyes, dude. And I just think Australia as a whole, I think the issue is we have a sport that most people most people think it's endurance-based. So you think football, right? AFL football, which is our national sport. Most people, and we're stuck in the dark ages because most people still think the best way to prepare for football, Timmy, is running your long, slow distance, running your aerobic training.
Captain's runs.
Complete your isolation, split part bodybuilding training. We're stuck in the 1980s, dude. And I think in terms of the whole, Australia's really struggled at that, especially with the junior segment. And I've actually started a few subsidiary arms, and one of the subsidiary arms at Woodford SSC is a junior athlete development program, because all the viewers out there, if you're listening to this, I think a massive market where Australia can improve is junior athlete development. I think in terms of the way we prepare junior athletes, because you think about it, how are we preparing our junior athletes at the moment? In my opinion, terribly, because you're getting the coach who's most likely a parent of a child, of a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old athlete, and they're training them like they would they did in the 1970s when they played. And most of the time, how they trained was long, slow distance running, static stretching, isolation, split part training. And this is the thing that really annoys me about junior athlete development, without going on a tangent, is, is body weight and external resistance? Yes, it is. So in terms of training the junior athlete, most people, weights will stunt their growth. But number one, there's no literature to say that. And number two, well, can't they do some sort of body weight training?
Yeah.
I mean, body weight training is great in terms of improving motor control, posture control, body awareness, teaching basic motor skills, jumping, landing, acceleration, de-acceleration, change of direction, sprinting. They can do them at a young age. And you got to think, Timmy, when they're younger as well, their nervous system is quite plastic. When I talk about plastic, it's like putty. You can mould their nervous system depending on, how you coach them. So you've got a real big responsibility to these junior athletes to mould them correctly. Get them doing the right things at a young age, so when they're older, you've laid a strong foundation. We're not getting these fucking injuries like soft tissue injuries, overuse like OP, shin splints. Like, these are preventables if we prepare them at a young age better and get them into the good habits. So I'm just a real big focus these days on junior athlete development, but also when they get older and they are in the system, having proper systems in place in terms of how they train and laying. I call it like this, I don't know what you call it, but think about this. I say with my athletes is, can you build a house with foundation? No, you can't. You can't build a house without a foundation, so I always use it that way. Lay the foundation, a physical foundation, what we call a GPP base, GPP, which is general physical preparedness base, preparation base, and then you build upon that, because you can't build a house without a base. So that's how I think of junior athlete development. In terms of the question that you asked me, where can Australia improve? Well, exactly all those dot points. It's about starting to look at strength and conditioning performance coaches and exercise science students or graduates as professionals. We are professionals, Tim.
For sure.
It annoys the shit out of me that, you've got physios, osteos, chiros, myos with jobs, at football clubs. And I'm not saying they don't have a role. They do have a role.
Yeah.
I do. But don't you think prevention's better than cure?
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
Don't you think that if we prepare these athletes better, we don't need the physio, we don't need the osteo, we don't need the chiro. If we lay a foundation, by the time I'm 40, is literally to have performance coaching, applied sports science ingrained in mainstream media. So everyone knows the role of a performance coach, and every club has a performance coach at their club.
Yeah.
And look, maybe I've gone too much in every age group, but maybe 1 to 2 to 3 for their whole club in terms of the juniors or the seniors, where they're giving proper, educated, applied advice. And it's not the guy who knows the personal trainer down the road, or it's not the guy who lifts weights who thinks he knows everything. It's an actually qualified, applied strength and conditioning coach with qualifications in sports science. And that's where I think we can improve, dude. I think we can improve on the knowledge and develop in the industry. And if you've followed me for a while, that's been my main goal. People get me wrong. People don't understand where I'm coming from. I'm just trying to make a career for these students coming through. I'm trying to make a career, guys like you, which you've done a terrific job. And, just the fact that you and I talked 14 months ago and you put everything into play, man, respect to you, really, really big props to you for doing that. It takes a lot of guts. But to keep developing this industry, we need people willing to push it and say, well, this is our job. This is our segment. This is what we do. Let's start developing our industry. And by developing the industry through social media and using it as a powerful tool, more awareness, more jobs, and we all developed. One, our athletes get better, bigger, stronger, faster, and they're not as injured. But also, there's careers for passionate graduates like yourself, like myself, and like everyone else. And I just wanted to be that figurehead. I just want to keep pushing it forward. And I love what I do. And for all the viewers out there, for all the exercise science students listening to this podcast, I will keep pushing it forward. I will keep developing it. And guys like Tim, man, you're a credit to yourself, man. I need more guys like you. Because you're pushing the good word with me. I'm just one person, but I'll always support guys like you. So
we really, we love what you do, especially over here in Western Australia. You guys are in Victoria. You've really reached out to the West Australian market, and a lot of people ask me about you, and they're like, "Oh, do you know him? How do you know him? What do you think of him?" And I say, "Yeah, it's fantastic, and he's doing a fantastic job of spreading the word." Which really, there's not too many around Australia doing that. So
Timmy, I can't understand it, dude. Like, first of all, thank you for your kind words about Western. It's funny, I get heaps of emails from Western Australia coaches. I'm very humbled. I've had guys come over from Western Australia to do my strength, power, speed-based course. I'm very humbled to get guys interstate come to me, and it just shows the power of social media, that if we use it in the right hands and we educate people, it's great.
For sure.
But I've never understood that all these kids who come out of exercise science, 5,000, 10,000 a year, whatever it is.
Oh, way more.
And yet they don't question anything, and they don't try and start something, or they don't try and at least push the boundaries and say, well, this is what I do, this is my area. We are performance coaches. We have education on physiology, anatomy, motor control, motor learning, psychology, programming, etc.
Yeah.
We are best placed to program for athletes, best placed to program for rehabilitation, return to play. Yet we still lack... we lack the students who go out and do that and educate people. I just can't understand why more people don't do it, because it's coming to a time where more people want more and more information. So for us, we've just got to keep pushing it forward.
So just on a side note there, what do you think the undergrad bachelor's degree is lacking there? Obviously coaching isn't a huge proportion. A lot of it is not applied. So what do you think about that?
I just think that in terms of the universities, I think they do a good job at educating, because you got your base level subjects, which are so important.
Yeah, for sure. Anatomy, physiology,
your anatomy, your motor control, your motor learning, stuff like that. But in terms of the ability to apply that information in a practical sense, I just think the students are lacking.
Yep.
And that's where I found my niche as well. My niche in terms of the Woodford SSC market was bridging the gap between amateur to sub-elite, sub-elite to elite athletes, to be able to come down and be coached in a high-performance centre with educated and applied coaches who understand science-based programming and can apply it. That's why I did it. So I think that it's not really the uni's fault, because the uni's job is to actually educate them on the theory. It's not their job to get them practically applied. So I can see where they're coming from.
For sure, yeah.
So I don't blame them, because I think they're doing a terrific job at educating these students. But in terms of overall practice, where they can improve, I definitely think it's the practice application aspect. So even getting guys like yourself in, guys like myself in, who are actually coaches, who are actually in the field coaching.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about this before, but I'm a massive fan of Vern Gambetta, and he talks about the ability to be a really good coach and how to apply that information as much as possible.
Yeah.
If you're not applying that information, it's useless. So I think that's the big thing where they can improve, is just that applied aspect. Even if they go to a performance like mine or yours, and they link up with us and they go, look, we're going to have X amount of students through the door. We want you to coach them up on the applied aspects.
Yep.
How many can you take? Because at least then you've got... The biggest issue is, and you'd understand it, right? You do a 3-year course, right? You come out, and if you don't apply that, it's kind of useless information, because you come out, you don't know how to auto-regulate. You don't understand when an athlete comes to you and he's worked 9 hours, he's been on the tools, he's in that kyphotic, that very anterior chain dominant position, and you're just like, well, today I planned I'm going to squat him, and you don't know how to regulate based on how he's feeling. Well, then you're in a fair bit of trouble, and that's the biggest issue we see. Most of these young coaches can't apply, and they can't apply it quick. You've got to adapt to every situation. Strength and conditioning, what's done in a lab, what's theoretical isn't always practical. So the way I see it is, not everything's perfect. You understand this, dude. You might get an athlete and he's tired as shit. You just got to adapt to the situation. You got to adapt real quickly as well. You can't sit there for 10 minutes thinking of, oh man, well, physiology says this textbook says this, that means I can't do this, you know that better than anyone, you just got to apply it in the practical sense, you just got to adapt. So I think in terms of where they can improve is definitely the practical aspect, and just helping these kids out, these young aspiring coaches out more, because I think it's a great career, dude, that. It's a true career.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah, well,
that sounds so cliche, but actually it's rewarding.
But you know what? You're right. It is so cliche, but now how rewarding is to say that I've got a few guys, athletes go on the Commonwealth Games, got a few athletes go on the World Champs in different sports. How cool is it that I can say that I played a small part in the development? How great is that to say that you do that? Now, the biggest issue that I see is kids come through and they want to train elite athletes straight away. I mean, we had about 8 to 9 AFL players in the off season. This didn't happen by chance with me. This happened through 9 to 10 years of laying a strong foundation of coaching and, not rushing into the money, taking your time and really laying the foundation.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed David Joyce on one of my podcasts, and he used a real nice saying, be in a rush to be excellent, not successful.
Yeah.
Really take your time, and lay the foundation, lay the groundwork. And I'm living proof if you can do that, and you lay foundation, you learn off different coaches, you soak in information like a sponge, you ask questions, you annoy those coaches, not annoy them that bad, but annoy them and ask them questions, you will get better. You will lay a foundation.
Yeah.
But the common issue at the moment is these kids do a 3-year degree, Tim, and you know this. And where do they go? Where can they get work experience? They go to fitness first.
Yeah.
It's like fitness
It's a
first.
zoo.
They get thrown in with all the bro science trainers, and it's more about you understand the fitness industry. It's more about selling. It's a $1 billion industry.
It's a complete
It's more
zoo.
about what you look like than what you know in terms of practice application, in terms of results, because most people look at a shredded person and go, well, he obviously knows what he's doing.
Knows his shit.
People relate to being shredded to being an athlete.
Yeah.
But you and I know that's not the case.
No way.
It's neural stimulation. It's what's your programming like? Can you justify your programming? Can you give a scientific and a theoretical reason? So I think more performance centers will start popping up because it is a market that no one has tapped into in Australia in terms of the performance market.
Yeah.
So obviously,
it's education as well. People aren't aware of what we do, and a lot of people say, "Oh, yeah, you're a personal trainer."
Can I just say, Tim, there is nothing more degrading for me. This is nothing rude to a personal trainer, but for me, who I'm educated, and I don't want to come across as an arsehole because I do I respect a lot of personal trainers. Well, I respect a lot of personal trainers who do really good work and actually want to learn, but the majority of personal trainers really don't care about that. They don't care about learning. It's just get you out 8-week course, then apply it. But there's nothing worse than being called a personal trainer. Yeah. And when I was over in America, that's what I love about the American system is the awareness around the role of a performance coach is massive. Yeah. Because everyone knows, okay, you're a performance coach, I know the difference. Where here it's like, oh, you're just a personal trainer. And that to me, I hated it. And that was the main driver for Woodford SSC. One, to evoke change and really push what the performance coach does and really develop the industry. Yeah. But two, to give these young aspiring coaches a career. If you talk to anyone who cares about the industry, if you talk to me, I care about the industry more than anyone. You know that. I'm willing to help anyone. I helped you out 14 months ago and look how well. And I think that's a common issue here, dude, where it's like, the role here is kind of like it's not really respected. It's like, oh, okay, we're kind of like I understand we are secondary to the skill, but we're one part of an overall athletic development program in terms of strength and conditioning, recovery, regeneration, nutrition, hydration, and skills, and psychology. We're one part of that program, so we're an important part. We're never the most important, but we're an important part. The skills are always the most important, but I think we kind of get pushed aside, and this is the reason why it really hasn't developed, is because personal training is so big due to shows like The Biggest Loser, and it glamorizes personal training, and then everyone sees a performance coach like, oh, I want to train athletes. Training athletes is cool. Yeah. Now, you and I know just as much as anyone.
It's not realistic.
Man, you grind, man. Training athletes, you're going to make no money. Yeah. It's going to be constant grind. Even PT, you're up at 6. You finish at 9. I did that for 6 years, man, as PT, man. Up at 6 a.m., finish at 9 a.m., get back there at 5 p.m., finish at 10 p.m. Man, it's the worst hours.
And then just deal with all the shit in the middle and, just all the hassle.
You got bullshit in the middle. You got to deal with people not showing up and you don't get paid. Yeah. It's just one of those industries, man, unless you can make it more professional. And that's what I'm trying to do with being a performance coach is we are a level above. There's personal trainers, there's performance coaches. To me, a performance coach is educated. They've done a 3-year undergrad degree in exercise science, health science, something in that bracket, and they've showed that they want a career. Because if you do a 3-year degree, think about it this way, you are showing the client, you are showing the athlete, you have drive to complete 3 years. You are consistently wanting to study and get better, and it's commitment for a 3-year period. So that's how I see it. But it is one of those industries that it is hard, it is grind. If you do want to get into it, it is a great industry. At the same time, we have to keep using social media as a powerful tool to keep developing our name. And if you look at me as an example, we've done great things with social media because we keep pushing out really high-level information, same as yourself, Timmy.
For sure. It's huge transparency as well. You guys are transparent.
That's a great word that you use, transparency, because when I came back, and for all the viewers listening to this, when I came back, I actually had a look around. I didn't see anyone doing actually athletic performance-based coaching. Like, people put out a video and it might be like Tom squats 100 kilos for 10 reps, but there was no scientific or practice application to their methodology. Yeah. And that's, for everyone out there, that's actually how I started, by just doing random write-ups of me coaching my athletes. It might have been like gym squats, front squats, 100 kilos for 4 sets of 4. I gave a theoretical reason, improving someone's strength to improve someone's power, speed, potential, to improve their lower body strength, improve their glute strength, and then I give a practice application in terms of WSSC. And people love that, and they see transparency, because then you can see, okay, well, I can actually see an athlete on a video getting coached by this coach and seeing what they're doing, and I love their work. It could be some explosive movement, could be a bilateral movement in terms of strength development, in terms of that. It could be unilateral single leg movement. It might be speed development. I don't know, whatever it is in terms of athlete development. People anywhere in the world can see that, and it gives transparency. And the funny thing about transparency is you're open to a lot of criticism, which, as you know, I cop a lot of criticism. But that's
for sure.
That's a part of the game.
It's always going to be haters. Always going to be haters.
Oh, mate, and that's funny because I talked to Joe DeFranco when I went there, and Joe was like, "Dude, man, you have no idea when I first started. You got haters all the time, man. And you got to realize, dude, we're on the bottom floor. Like companies like mine and yours, we're the minority, dude. You know, there's commercial gyms are massive, CrossFit's huge." Man, performance coaching in Australia, we are the minority, dude. Like, I know of like 3-4 other places in Australia.
Yeah,
in Australia,
minimal.
we are the minority. So if we can blow this up and we keep developing this industry, man, this could become huge. So we're just on the bottom floor. But Joe DeFranco was on the bottom floor in 2003, and now he's the biggest name in the industry in 2015. So.
What was he in a 500 square foot storage closet? That's where he started out.
Exactly, it's 500. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. What's that in meters? Not much.
Not much, dude. Nothing. I mean, he started that and he started coaching, and what he was doing, he put up videos, he explained it, and people see it, and then you see kind of the flaws in the athlete and how would you fix it, and that's the true role of being a coach is improving efficiency and improving the athlete's athletic performance to minimise chance of injury. And I think when you put a video up, it kind of opens up all those flaws, and that's where you get, which I like to call the form police, people who are just kind of, he did a deadlift and he got some sort of, he didn't keep his back flat, didn't keep neutral, some form of lumbar flexion. Mate, he was pulling 200 kilos from the ground. We want some sort of stimulus. I'm sorry.
Hands
Not
down.
everything's going to be perfect. I mean, obviously safety is the number one concern, and it's not going to be stupidly over the top where you're going to get full rounding.
Yeah.
At the same time, when you're pulling 200 kilos, it's like when you're squatting or you're pulling big weight, it's still a heavy weight.
Keyboard warriors.
But it's just one of those things, everyone's just going to kind of... Everyone just, like, you got to realise health and fitness is universal, right? Everyone's going to have an opinion, dude. It's the most subjective industry in the world.
Yeah.
You know, how I do things, might not be right, might not be wrong. How you do things might not be right, might not be wrong. But it's just how we do things. We've got a set process.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a big thing. If you can grasp certain principles and understand how to apply them in a practical sense and have a strong theoretical grounding, I think you're fine. Because in all sense, if you can justify it, and I use it with my boys, justification's a big thing. If you can justify it, you're a good coach. But if you're just throwing a heap of shit together and hoping for the best, well, you're probably not the best coach.
Good points there. I want to move on to question 3. This is a big one. What is your biggest advice for young, aspiring strength and conditioning coaches looking to break into the industry?
I think that's a very good question. I think that if I had to give advice to myself 10 years ago when I started, I mean, I'm looking purely from my point of view, which is the private sector and somewhat in the elite sector in terms of America and Australia. So it's kind of like it's both sides of the equation. My advice to all the kids out there is start coaching. Like, this is the biggest issue we see is kids come out. I'll keep touching on it. I sound like a broken record, but it's like these kids come out with a 3 degree and they're like, well, I want to get a job straight away. Like, the funny thing I hear all the time is I want to work in an AFL club. Well, that's funny. Get in line and wait in line with the majority of people who graduate exercise science.
Hundreds
like
of other
people. Work in an AFL club.
Yeah.
And even if you are working in an AFL club, most of the time you won't get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got to make a choice what you want to do. Like, you have to lay a strong foundation. I'm not saying don't do it, but at the same time you've got to realise how many other people want to work in an AFL club. So my advice to most of the young aspiring coaches coming through is, uni's important. Learn the theory. Learn the theoretical underpinnings behind your programming. Start to build a methodology. So when I talk about a methodology, Woodford SSC has a methodology I've built over 9 years. Start building methodology. Start reading books from coaches. Start going to extra workshops through coaches. Start immersing yourself in. Start lifting yourself. If you don't lift, that's the biggest thing that I find is a lot of these kids don't lift themselves. How can you be a strength and conditioning coach if you don't do multiple qualities of fitness? You've got to lift, you've got to condition, you've got to do speed work yourself, you've got to do mobility, flexibility. You've got to know what it feels like, how the athlete feels. Now, how can you know what the athlete feels if you've never done it yourself? You can't, so you can't have empathy for them. So my advice is start coaching from year one. I don't care where it is. It could be your brother, your sister, yourself. Start coaching. Start applying that knowledge. And it's funny because all these students ask me, should I do an honours? Should I get a paper published? Getting a paper published, that might improve your knowledge, but it's not going to improve your ability to coach. I used to watch John Quinn, who used to be the high-performance manager at Essendon, high-performance manager at GWS, and I used to watch him go to his track-based session, watch him coach his athletes. And I used to ask him 1,000 questions, and I used to say, what's this industry? How do I do this? How do I do this? And one of the things that always hit home with him was, well, stop worrying about getting a paper published and start coaching, start getting results. Because I think the gap between theory and practical application, we need to bridge it, dude, because it's so big. Because these kids are coming out and they're thinking they're going to get a job in an AFL team. And that's not to say that's not a good dream. That's a great dream. Like, you know, it's a good dream as well.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
The best way, where you're going to get really, in my opinion, where a big area of interest, and I said it before, is junior athlete development, because that's where their nervous system's developing. You can really play a big prominent role with these kids, and that's an area where it's going to develop.
Yeah.
But by people actually doing that and coaching junior athletes, think about it this way: you're going to educate the junior athlete, you're going to educate the parent. Who do you think the parent's going to go to when his kid needs extra coaching later on? He's going to go to a performance coach. He's going to ask for qualifications. Start asking questions, and by doing this, we're going to develop the industry. And I'll keep relating back in this podcast about developing the industry, because that's what it comes down to. It's for you students and graduates to start pushing the industry. Stop with the status quo. Fuck it. Don't worry about the status quo. Go against the grain. Look what happened with me. I walk my own route and people follow me now. And for you guys, you know, it's great to see guys like Tim who have kind of took my lead and said, well, fuck, man, this guy's done passionate. He loves what he's doing. He's followed his own lead. You know, walk down your own path. Don't listen to other people. And I think that's a chronic issue. These kids, these students, they listen to other people. Oh, there's no jobs in it. Well, fucking make a job. Sorry about my language, Tim. But
no, go for it.
But make a job, you know, make a job for them, you know. But, you know, you hear it, Timmy, you know, these kids, oh, no, I'll do exercise science and, you know, I'll transfer over. Well, fuck, stop transferring over and let's make a career. Let's do it together. Let's stick together. I'm with you, you know. I'll lead us. Follow me. Let's all do it together.
I'm
not saying I'm the god of it, but I'm trying every day to develop this industry, putting out good information, you know, doing my podcast, trying to get us into the USA system, you know, trying to make links with T Nation so I can write for them, so more people know about the role of a performance coach in Australia. You know, do this, develop the industry. You know, let's start coming together as one. Let's start helping each other out. You know, I've been the worst proponent of it. You know, sometimes not calling people out, but being very critical. But at the same time, I'm never critical of a strength coach, a physiologist, or a performance coach, because they're my own kind.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help this industry. So for all your students out there, two things. One, start coaching. That's your biggest thing. Start coaching. Start lifting on yourself. If you can't coach an athlete, coach yourself. Start programming. Start using fundamental sports science principles and applying it. And not just for lifting, not just for strength, not for power, but also speed, also conditioning, injury prevention, mobility. Learn different modes to make yourself a really good performance coach. And I call it holistic development, total athlete development. We call it Woodford SSC. It's not just about strength, power, but it's about speed, conditioning, anaerobic, aerobic endurance. It's about injury prevention. It's about mobility, flexibility. It's about postural core control. It's about integration. It's about nutrition, hydration. It's about recovery, regeneration. It's about taking that adaptation and transferring it with a skill. And I think that's the biggest thing. And then integrating with SPP, which is the skill. The only true way of sports-specific conditioning is the skill itself. And number two advice that I can give to them after they've just learned, after they practically applied it themselves and programmed for themselves, is start pushing this industry forward. Start using the power of social media. Start developing this industry. And the only way we can do it is through willpower. Yeah. And going on social media and using your networks and start educating. Go to schools. Educate the schools. Educate the junior athletes. Start using social media. Put up a video. Write a little blog. Write a post. That's how I started. I just would write for anyone. And start developing your methods and start talking to other coaches. And then what will happen is, over time, the fundamentals will always stay the same. I always use this with everyone, Timmy, with my staff, is 90% of good programs are always the same. Compound, multi-joint, multi-planar, ground-based lifts. The fundamentals, the core of the program is always the same. Yeah. With little bits and pieces. So what might happen with your program, for all of you guys out there, your programs is the meat of the program will always stay the same. And as you develop as a strength coach, as you learn more, you'll bring little bits and pieces, how you coach, how you program. And it will just evolve into a good program. So they're my two long-winded ways that aspiring coaches can develop. Yeah,
but the keys to that were obviously long-term development there. You know, nothing's going to happen overnight. And with doing the blogs and the videos and whatever, starting your own page and stuff, there will be criticism and there will be haters. So you're got to be prepared for that as a young coach as well.
I think that's a big one, man. You got to realise that people will hate on you just because we are something new. Yeah. People won't like you. I mean, I remember I was on Channel 10 on the project, and I was talking about CrossFit, and that's kind of how it started. And I did my first blog on CrossFit. I actually don't hate CrossFit. I've got mates who do CrossFit. It was just my thing against CrossFit, where people go, "Oh, CrossFit's cool. Yeah, it's sport-specific training." I hate that.
No.
Because I've just done a degree. I've done another year. I'm educated. That is not sport-specific training. Stop lying to the general public.
Yeah.
And people, they just wrote off that success. So that's why I just didn't like it.
Yeah, for sure.
People get criticism. Criticism is part of life. Got to be able to accept it.
For sure. All right, question 4. We've got, what are your thoughts on personal trainers labelling themselves as strength and conditioning coaches with no qualifications or experience?
You're really loading the gun here, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry, man. We're a couple of hard-hitting...
I guess that's why people like talking to me, because I'm just up front. I think that I call a spade a spade. I think most people in this industry kind of, they tiptoe around issues, right?
Yeah.
If you follow me for a while, I just say, that's why I think people like me and people don't like me, is because this is who I am up front. You know, I'm passionate. I love what I do. I'm just honest.
Yep.
And I just believe to change the industry, you have to be willing to cop criticism, but also you have to be willing to say how you feel. And I was always going to. I think with my criticism, I think in terms of personal trainers who do call themselves strength conditioning coaches, you've got to kind of be a bit careful with it, because I think it kind of disrespects all the people willing to go and learn. And I'm not saying, it's funny, I'm not saying that you have to have a degree to become a good performance coach.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you know just as well as me, there's been some performance coaches who don't have a degree, yet they're very good coaches.
Yeah.
But let's be serious. Majority of people who don't have a degree aren't going to be the best coaches in terms of being a performance coach, to understand.
The fundamentals.
To understand the fundamentals, but understand, in terms of physiology, neuroscience, programming, you're not gonna know a lot unless you do self-read.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people do that. So I think for the personal trainers that do it, I mean, that's why I'm trying to educate the public on evidence-based practice coaches as much as possible, for someone to say, okay, well, we need to be respected, because what's happening is people go, well, why would I go to you, Timmy, for $100, or you, Christian, for $100 when I can go to a personal trainer for $35, and they say they specialise in the same thing. And how I like to put it with most people is, you pay for what you get. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So we've got to start, like, the good thing I like about Allied Health in terms of physio, osteo, chiro, they respect their services enough not to go really low.
Yeah.
With us, I think what happens is we all undercut each other. I don't do it. I'm sure you don't, but the rest of them undercut each other, because you've got to think in that industry, right? What is your point of difference? There's no point of difference. No one's really going to have a point of difference, really.
Price point.
I mean, maybe the odd course, and they look shredded, but there's no point of difference. So what they do is they'll just say something gimmicky, or they'll do something gimmicky. I'll be like sports-specific training on a fit ball or on a Bosu ball where it's unbalanced, and they go, oh, that's sports-specific training, where you and I know that's just stupid. But people buy into that, dude, because it looks cool, man. Like, man, you got to think, how many people will come to you if you go, well, my program is we do some explosive work. Our main work is done off our bilateral, double leg. So bilateral, for all the people out there, means double leg movements like squatting and deadlifting. We do a single leg movement, might do some upper body stuff, horizontal push-pull, vertical push-pull, chuck a core movement in, and then coach basic motor skills. And we're going to do that for X number of weeks with progression. It's going to be bland and boring. How many people will buy into that compared to when someone sees someone on a fit ball going, oh, this is sport-specific?
Yeah.
What I sell isn't sexy. It's boring, it's bland. It's about creating a stimulus, providing a stimulus to the body, adapting and getting stronger. And I don't think many people really like that. It's not sexy. People want something cool. Oh, man, that's cool, man. That's sick. I see on a TRX. TRX has its place, but you know what I mean? Like, if the TRX is the Bosu ball, I mean, is at the core of your programming over your bilateral primal patterns, you're doing something wrong.
End of the day.
Asking your coach, mate, if my program is based off gimmicky movements and it's not off your bilateral double leg movements, your primal patterns, well, you're in a fair bit of trouble. So I just think that overall, we just need to keep educating the public on what the role of performance coach is and how we can push it into mainstream media.
Yeah.
I think that's a big role.
End of the day, the results speak for themselves, and that's what someone comes to you for, is the results, not the super cool program that's brand new and the latest fad, really.
I think that's a good point. I mean, results speak for yourself. If you're a good coach, you know what I tell you about good coaching? Longevity. If you got longevity and you get results and you can show you got results, man, you're a good coach. And I've been doing this nearly 10 years now, so I'm on a start. I'm getting older now, dude. So seeing these young kids come through is great. Who are hungry. We're just got to keep developing it. Hopefully by the time I'm 40.
Yeah.
this industry has really developed, and man, these kids have a career, man. You do exercise science, there is a career, man. You know, you should do exercise. You got a career. You can start coaching, man. You can coach athletes, general population, whatever it is. There is a career, and there are performance studios like yourself, like mine, that are performance based where you can use your knowledge, because at the moment these kids have all this knowledge, nowhere to apply it.
For sure. All right, Christian, we got mystery question number 5. So in your videos, I see you rocking some short shorts pretty consistently. What do the Americans think of that? Did they allow you to get away with that when you were over there?
Hey, I'll tell you what. This is a great question. This is a good question. Jay would love this question. Jay, if you're listening to this, I knew you'd love this question.
Yeah.
I've always loved it. People ask me about it. I don't know, man. Like, I just love, when I coach, I just love short. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I got a sick quad or something. I've just got real small ankle bones because of my mother. Thanks, Mum. But
yeah.
I don't know, man. I've always rocked it out. I mean, the Americans hate it. So, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I didn't bring any big, long shorts over there.
Me either.
I just wear, you see my video. I just literally wear short shorts. That's how, because my footy days, I just love wearing footy shorts. And don't worry, everyone listening, I cop copious amounts of shit from my staff all the time.
I was going to say, yeah.
Even from randoms who just write on, like...
Should be illegal.
My page, I just I know who they are, like, because they follow me, but
yeah.
They just constantly give me shit. But when I went over to America, and when I was with Jay, one of my performance coaches, he actually goes, mate, I've got to give you these longer shorts. If I wore those shorts, they'd give me shit. I remember Coach Wilson... At Maryland, I wore them one day. He said, take them off and put these ones on. So I wear long ones. They laugh. They honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
They're like, they think it looks like hot pants or something. They don't understand it.
I just want you to talk about your latest venture. So you mentioned a little bit about the Junior Academy and then QuistianWoodford.com. So let's go.
Okay. For all the people out there, I mean, if you know T Nation, I'm actually a massive fan of Testosterone Nation. And how they do it is they get all the big coaches and powerlifters in all different areas of specialty. They get these guys to write for them, and these articles are like they're really practical, but they're really for the just general punter and athlete.
Yeah.
And I've actually known them for about 7 years, and I had this idea a while back because if you talk, everything I do in this industry, I look to develop the industry. Everything I'm doing is to try to develop the industry, so create more jobs, more awareness. So. If you look at the American system, they've got Cressy, Boyle, DeFranco, Dave Tate. They've got all these big guys who write on Testosterone Nation, and they write really good articles, and it's really for the coach. Also, Mark Rippleton, which I'm a big fan of, starting strength, basic barbell training. They've got that. In Australia, if you look at the exercise science kids, who do we have to look up to in the private sector? We've got, I mean, Timmy, I don't know if you've...
No one.
We've really got no one, do we?
They don't put their hand up at all. Everyone's really quiet.
Yeah, no one really puts up their hand and says, you know what, I'm the man to take you forward. I'm the figurehead. I'm the guy who's gonna lead us out of this. I'm the guy who you're going to follow, and everyone's going to follow. And when he puts out information, people read, and we all help each other out.
Yeah.
So I had this idea when I was at Maryland, because all these students that I kind of coached with, they were reading T Nation. They go, oh man, love Dave Tate. Oh yeah, Cressy, Boyle, DeFranco. You know, these guys, I love reading their stuff. It's so theoretical, it's practical.
Yep.
Where in Australia, you've just got academics. Now, an academic to me is not a coach. He doesn't coach. He's not in the trenches. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Don't get hurt by what I'm saying if you're academic. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's just two different roles. You know, a good role of a coach is to take the theory and then shift through it and then apply what's good and then chuck out what's bad. And that's a really good thing about a coach. And the funny thing about literature, not much has changed in 30 years in terms of the art of being a coach.
Yeah,
Nothing will ever stop the art of being a coach. You know, are you going to squat athletes? Yes. You're going to deadlift athletes? Yes. Are you going to program in a periodized fashion? Yes. You know, not much has changed. Maybe how we monitor athletes, maybe the sports science side has changed a lot, but in terms of coaching and, in my opinion, strength, power, speed development, you know, not much has changed. You look at Charlie Francis, the stuff that he brought out 20 years ago is still applicable today.
Yeah.
You know, stuff Dan Baker wrote in 1993, you know, the basis of developing strength and power is still very relevant. Of course it's relevant, you know. Developing strength should be the main priority because it's a precursor to power and it lays the foundation for everything. Then you develop power and power development is multifactorial. So, you know, you read all these guys and, you know, it's one of those things that it's just like not much has changed. So when I was there and I was just looking at all these guys and all these students were just so obsessed with them, I said, you know what? Australia needs a coach, or Australian students and Australian in general needs an evidence-based practice coach, not just theory, but practice application to look up to. So I had this idea, this funny idea, if I could use science and apply it, that people would actually want me to coach them. And it kind of just, Woodford SSC just kind of blew up. And I said to myself, and my best mate, who's a director as well, Tom Core, I said to myself, if we can blow this up, and I can get a big name because most of the post on Woodford SSC comes from me anyway. If you guys read it, I wanted to build my name from that. And what my mate said, well, after we've done that, let's create Christian Woodford, a brand to itself. And that's where ChristianWoodford.com was made for. It was made for two real reasons. One, to increase awareness around the role of performance coaching, keep developing the industry. But number two, to help out, to give a platform to young aspiring coaches to actually communicate their knowledge and apply that knowledge, and then people can see them, so it helps them out, it helps me out because I get different networks. But also it's pushing out really strong information for the general public to show, well, this is what we are. We are performance coaches. We are evidence-based practice coaches. This is what we can do. This is why we specialize in these areas. And this is the stuff we can. This is the level of knowledge we know. So I did it to increase awareness, but also I did it to help the industry and just give the industry a figurehead. So for everyone listening out there, I waited and I told you on the phone, Timmy, ages ago, I waited 7-8 years for someone to come in the private sector and create a career out of it. And I came home, I got offered 3 jobs in the American system. I said no to 3, and I said, I'm going to throw my heart, everything, every bit of my body has gone to Woodford. I leave nothing on the ground. I go into work, I give everything, my coaches, my staff, my interns, everything. I'm truly passionate. If you can get anything out of this podcast, you might get, he's educated, he's smart, he's a dickhead, he's a wanker. If you get one thing out of it, you get one thing out of it.
You, me both, mate. You, me both.
What's that?
You, me both.
Yeah. If you get one thing out of it, I love this, man. You know, Timmy and I could talk shop for days, but I'm going to coach the next hour and a bit. But I truly love this industry. I'm passionate. I want a career. Nothing motivates me more than here. You know, I love it, and I'll give my email address at the end. I love it when I get emails from young aspiring coaches saying how much I've inspired them to do their own centre, to go out and apply that knowledge. So Christian Woodford was there for that, to give people hope, to give these students a light at the end of the tunnel, and to give Australian sports science a figurehead. You know, and it's funny because when I first started this, you know, I never thought I'd get this big. And I just took it. I took it upon myself. People are like, oh, you're not the figurehead. Well, I took it upon myself to become this guy. I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to become this guy. I'm going to become the figurehead now. No one else has really put their hand up. I'm going to use my passion, my education, my knowledge to develop this industry myself. And I'm going to create myself 150 jobs in the next 10 years. That's my goal, and develop the industry. And from those 150 jobs, you got to think, externally, domino effect, guys like Timmy get bigger as well because more people know about it. He develops his centre. Timmy might hire another 5 performance coaches with evidence-based practice background. And then we're developed. Then can you start to see what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
Then it's like, then we're changing the industry. Then we're changing the game because more people know about what we do, and it's great awareness. And how we can compete with the fitness industry is through social media and keep pushing the stuff out, really high-level quality information, because sport in Australia is ingrained. We need to start preparing for sport better. And that's why pretty much Christian Woodford, that's why I did it. I've got terrific writers for me, so if you guys want to check it out, www.christianwoodford.com. It's a site for anyone, athlete, general population, rehabilitation, nutrition, hydration, recovery, anyone who wants to learn more about applied sports science, strength conditioning, anyone who wants to learn more about training. Stuff like that. Sorry, anything like that, go to my website. We offer coaching as well if you are in Melbourne. We do online coaching as well, but that's why I've done it. I've got writers from all over Australia. If you do want to write for me, you're a driven performance coach, you do want to write for me, please email me, christian@woodfordssc.com. Hopefully I can get Timmy on for a guest article as well, push his business a little bit, and that's what you can do as well. That's a great thing about my company, because we do have big reach. The writers that do write for me, you know, they're going to get more clients as well. So it helps everyone, Tim. That's why I've done it.
Yep.
I'm just really big on developing the industry, man. This has been my, like, if I've got one drive in life, one passion is, 1 is coaching, 2 is developing this industry and making it accessible for all. And because you know just as much as me, it feels pretty shit to have an undergrad degree 3 years, do 4 or 5 years master honours, and not have a job, man. Man, how many mates you know for you? I mean, I know for me, I've got about 6-7 mates who have got a master's, yet they're working in sales.
Oh, tons. So probably people I graduated with, I'd say there's only like 2 or 3 doing something, and we're talking about 150 graduates. So you know, it's not very good odds at the moment.
No. So, but saying that though, we can change it. You know, I implore everyone out there, we can change this. The wheel is turning. I've seen it. I'm living proof. I've got my second performance center opening up in 8 weeks. I've got my third one opening up probably 6 months after that, and then we're going to go interstate, hopefully.
Yeah.
Look, it is getting bigger, so it will work, and you just got to keep pushing it forward. And, you know, stuff like what you're doing over in West Australia is great because it makes it easier on me to keep pushing out really high quality information. So yeah.
All right. Just want to let us know your Twitter handle as well, and just your Facebook.
Well, it's funny because I just started Twitter.
Yeah, I saw.
I had to do it because I think it is important you hit all means of social media. There you go. You liked one of my posts. I want to see what
it's a pain. It's a pain though.
Stimulate, not it's a pain. Stimulate, not annihilate. I wrote. Yeah, it is a pain. Okay, check me out at Coach Woodford. I'm at Coach Woodford. So that's where you can hit me up on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can hit me up on. I've got a few Facebook pages. You can hit me up on Woodford SSC, Woodford Sports Science Consulting Facebook page, or ChristianWoodford.com Facebook page. If you want to email me, it's christian@woodfordssc.com.
Yeah.
I do have an Instagram as well. It's Woodford SSC. Just type that in, it'll come straight up.
Yeah.
I've got a Twitter, and they're the main means of social media. So it's really important, obviously, hit them.
Yeah.
My new role within my own company is Director of Athlete Performance.
Yeah.
So I've because we've got 2 performance centers, I oversee them. So anyone I'm always open for messages, anything I can do to help out or give you advice, please email me. I'm always willing to help out.
And just to add to that, on Christian's Instagram, he's not posting topless selfies or anything. It's all information that is useful and can be used by everyone. We're not trying to get Insta famous or anything, or hashtag Fitspo. So
well, it's funny to bring that up because these days you can be an expert without even knowing anything and just having 500,000 followers. So I mean. I think that's ridiculous. The whole thing, you see those bikini babes and they put that shit up and they give a generic program and the nutrition, like they're not nutritionists and they just give terrible advice. I mean, it's just it's incredible, dude. That sums up the industry though, doesn't it? In a nutshell.
Yeah,
literally,
killer.
You can become social media famous. You can become a professional overnight by just having a lot of money, investing into Facebook, Instagram, and boom, you become this guru. They call him a guru of fitness. It's incredible, and that is our industry in a nutshell. But I think the wheel's turning because people are starting to ask for
cutting onto it.
Exactly what you said. Yeah.
I just would like you to give me a couple of resources for some students if they want to find out some, obviously study in their own time, some information like T-Nation. Is there anything else you can recommend?
Anything T-Nation rides. Man, I follow a lot of guys in the States and not a lot, because a lot of people don't bring out information in Australia, so I just read all the USA boys. Joe DeFranco, Eric Cressy, Mike Boyle, Robinson Training Systems, Vern Gambetta, anything like that I really like. In terms of Australia.
Probably I like Juggernaut as well. Juggernaut Training Systems.
Juggernaut. He's more powerlifting based, I think.
Yeah, bit of good info that we can take from that.
Yeah, I think one of my mates wrote for them. Amir Fazali, he owns a facility up in Sydney. He actually wrote for Juggernaut. I think that in Australia, Dan Baker's doing. Obviously, Dan Baker works for the Broncos. He's a true strength power coach. He's actually got a PhD. He just says it how it is. I really like him.
Shout out to Baker. Yeah, he's good, really good.
Yeah, he's just the way he is. He's just upfront, calls a spade a spade. He's been in the industry a long time. Yeah, read his stuff. Read his lit that he pushes out. It's just basic stuff, but what's funny, and I'll say this to your viewers, the most simplest program always works. Just keep it simplistic, keep it basic, lay foundation, teach motor control, motor patterning, so make technique a real big focus, teach control, lay foundation first, so technique before load, body weight before external resistance, and every time I read a really good coach, man, I read at least 10 pieces of lit or pieces of information on training a week. In certain areas. I mean, my area is neurological adaptation to training or neuromuscular strength and power training, which I took a lecture yesterday to my interns. But as you keep reading, you're going to understand the fundamentals. Stick to the fundamentals. Do the basic. Quality, not quantity. Less is more with everything. And then integrate. Transference is key. And if you can do that and you can understand strength as a foundation for everything, and in terms of movement efficiency is key. It's not fucking making better lifters. It's making them better athletes. Remember why you're there for. And then that you have to remember you are a performance coach. You're a skills-based coach. You never want to fucking train the skill in the gym. They do enough of that inside their training. What we do is we train a neural pattern. So you got to think a squat, a deadlift is just a neural pattern. We're training a neural pattern. We get a stimulus, the body adapts, and we improve in performance capacity. So everything is about quality, not quantity. Less is more. How I train. Integration's key, and then just communicate with the athlete. That's the most important thing. And just keep reading, dude. Keep reading. Keep getting better as a coach.
And that's
as a person, I guess.
That's just jogged my memory. Speaking of Dan Baker, the push power band. Tell us about that a little bit. How have you used that, and what's it good for?
You're gonna laugh at this. We actually haven't set it up yet.
Oh.
We've been.
When did I read that post last week? Come on.
Yeah, mate. We've been. Oh well, on that. Like, if you know anything about what I like, even to take an hour and a half. Because if you tell, how long did this take to set up? It took us a while, didn't it?
Like a month.
Yeah, so you can imagine trying to get in contact with me and trying to do something. I have that, and you got to realise with a second performance centre, I'm that busy. So
I understand.
I've got a tech guy at Woodford. He's a performance coach, Coach Mike Westerby, and he's setting it up. He's just had no time either. We're flooded at the moment, so I'm going to get it set up. But my mate's used it. He reckons it's so good.
Yeah,
he reckons it's real easy. I mean, that's for you guys out there. I mean, I think it's the next stage in this industry. I think Tim, you will agree with me on this. But I think the next phase of this industry where it's going is people more objective feedback. So it's not subjective. It's not based on my personal opinion. Yep. It's subjective, quantifiable feedback to see performance capacity. So in terms of being able to quantify strength, we can do that through our 1 hour, 2, 3 hour lift. But in terms of our power output, it's very hard to quantify, especially bar speed, unless you use your coach's eye. And that's what we've got the push for, to be able to quantify speed and power output. It gives an actual figure. It's either power or speed, and we can see improvement. So I mean, I always say at Woodford, the novice athletes who first come in, they should be lifting heavier weight at quicker movement speed every session, because quicker movement speed is increasing intensity of effort, so increasing exertion. So we're improving our rate of force development. So that's a real good tool in a toolbox. Now, it's not the be-all and end-all. It's just a tool in a toolbox that will aid in our programming, but it's another tool you can aid in your programming and developing your athletes. So I think it's a great tool that everyone should use. It's $300. You can get it from Dan Baker Strength, and that's what,
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on Bigger, Faster, Stronger, Volume 1. It's been a massive podcast, and I'm sure all the listeners will enjoy this. It's always going to be around on YouTube, so probably get a few views down the track. But let's just thank Christian, and look forward to episode 2. I may have an American coach on pretty soon. Well, it's in the pipeline, so let's hope for that. And thanks for listening.